What's good, Black Star Podcast? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Jared. Y'all, today we're gonna be looking at a video from Anton. Y'all, let's talk about a lot of black women losing their jobs and positions at in the government. Now, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna say this. The matter of fact, can I actually find the original clip? Because wait a minute. Let's see. Damn. You know what? I'm gonna use Anton's clip because shit, I CNN posts this damn near every hour. But look at this.
If you want to know the direction of the jobs market, pay attention to the black unemployment numbers. That's not my guidance. That's the guidance from economists and experts who know much more about this than I. But let me explain. Right now, the U.S. unemployment rate is at 4.3%. We just learned that very few jobs were added in August, about 22,000. That's not good. If you were to describe this via text, you send a red alarm emoji. Now, for black workers, the data is worse. For now, another month, the unemployment rate is going up. It's now 7.5%. That's the highest it's been since October of 2021. And it's a number we've been watching ever since it was 6.8% in June. It's two alarm emojis. You dig even deeper, and you'll find that black women are disproportionately struggling right now. The jobless rate for black women is at 6.7%. The last time it was that high, September of 2021, back during the pandemic. Add one more red alarm emoji. Why is this happening? Economists have told us that when we see the unemployment rate going up for black people, it's a sign that it could soon go up for all people. And as our CNN business team explains, black workers are disproportionately employed in frontline and lower wage industries as well as the government workforce. So what comes for black people first often comes for everyone. And you know, those good government jobs have been a tool for black people to build stable livelihoods, especially for black women. But the federal workforce has been a target of this administration, along with immigrants and diversity initiatives. We have a lot.
Okay, let me just go ahead and just start off by saying this. The newscaster doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, specifically when it comes to this. Because these good government jobs that he's quoting, we as American citizens are paying for these jobs. They're not private sector jobs, which actually bring in income to the tax revenue. So what he's saying is these good government jobs, they're liability.
To talk about. So joining me this morning, Latasha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter Fund, Stephanie Donegan, a former Republican candidate for the Georgia Senate and founder of Your Rich Life Media and the Stillwell Society, and Dalila Paul is the national editor of the news site Capital B. Welcome to you all. Stephanie, let me start with you. 22,000 jobs
Yes.
in August. June revised down now, the first month of job losses in 5 years. The president promised the golden era for America. Where is it?
I mean, ultimately, we have to just be honest and say it doesn't look good, which I know people don't expect me to say, but the reality is right now, because of all the cutbacks in the federal government, it is going to hit black women disproportionately right now because of how much we are employed.
The black women have largely used the federal government as a band-aid, so to speak, or even a trampoline in order to try to get one up on the rest of society to say that they are the ones that are killing it and winning in society and absolutely destroying everything, when in reality, it was nothing more than a DEI crutch that prevented them from actually facing the reality of what the job market has always been. It's been merit-based. Now, I will also tell you that in corporate America and in the private sector, that there has been a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion in order to check boxes. And that is obviously shown even more in the fact that over 320,000 black women have lost their jobs this year in general, right? And so when you take that into consideration and then you throw one more cherry on top of that and you say, well, a lot of these women have already championed and been at the front lines of saying that they are the most educated, they the best, they buy the most homes, they do all of this stuff, right? They are the ones that are growing the most. When in reality, it was an alley oop that was thrown to them, and they wasn't just the most educated; they was the most enrolled. So this was the play. Let me break the play down for you. All right, the play was for them to go to college, take out a whole lot of student loan debt, and then they work for the government, right? And so if you work for the government on an income-based repayment plan, then eventually it will get forgiven, while at the same time it gave them a leg up in a career in which it was pretty safe, right? Knowing that they more than likely would never really get laid off. And the fact that you would get a lot of merit, because you were black and you were a woman. And so all of those things in place kind of sort of made women haughty, right? Arrogant towards other people, and specifically men and black men, and to try to act like they were better than them because they were trying to act like, well, it's because I'm more educated than you, I'm better than you. Why are you not leveling up now? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to do? The market was supposed to determine, and capitalism was supposed to determine who get these raises, who get these jobs, who was supposed to be the most successful, so on and so forth. So now you have an environment where black women and women in general and people in general that was getting these basket weaving degrees, they have to compete. They have to try to be what we are and what we have been dealing with for a long time. And so when you look at these jobs and the revision of these jobs, there's investment inside of America from all countries, trillions of dollars that are pouring in the country, but it takes time in order for that to grow legs. Meanwhile, you also had the Department of Government Efficiency actually auditing the federal government to try to figure out where all of the money is going and why are our taxes going up? And it was because it was going to people that weren't really doing anything inside of the federal government, yet they were getting a huge paycheck while at the same time getting their student loans forgiven. And so now that diversity, equity, and inclusion and, removing these check boxes, and now everybody got to compete based off of merit, you see them being disproportionately the ones that are affected as far as the job market itself.
That being said, I do believe that it is going to bounce back with the new businesses and new jobs that will be coming. But I think we need to give it time. I don't think we've given it enough time.
That's something we heard from the Commerce Secretary as well. Let's play what Howard Lutnick said.
We've seen that in all sorts of agencies throughout this government. The holdovers from the Biden administration they're just bent against the president's success. They're rooting against America and against Donald Trump, and that's got to end. So he can't replace somebody, 2 weeks ago, and you expect fundamental change.
Latasha, he says, give it time.
The challenge with this is that when you look at black women, we, particularly in terms of women, we are, in terms of participation in the labor market, we're 60% more than all of our women counterparts of the labor market. But what's interesting in federal jobs, we're about 11.7%, which means that's in parity of our population, right? But when you look in the private sector, we're less than 1.8% when you look at higher management jobs. So what we have seen is that federal jobs have actually created a pathway and opportunity that black women, it demonstrates that when black women are given an opportunity, that there are federal protections that allow us to matriculate, that what you see is that we're able to get representation. What he's saying around that we're supposed to just play on the market, but what we're seeing is an underrepresentation in the market, that oftentimes we're underpaid in the market, we're in entry-level jobs, you do not see the same kind of economic stability that we've seen with federal employment.
I saw your face.
So basically, your mindset is this. Y'all want to keep federal government jobs as a crutch for the fact that a lot of black women fail at getting a job in the private sector. All for quote unquote black empowerment or black female advancement. That's basically all I'm hearing. Give them a crutch because they failed to get a job because they are, sorry to say it, pathetic when it comes to actually getting a job in the private sector. Okay.
facial expression.
Because ultimately, a lot of the hiring I feel that's happened within the federal government was to check boxes for DEI, not necessarily because this was just perfect for them. And I only say that because of how many black women have been employed. And I think that's part of the reason is we're seeing the layoffs that we're seeing and the unemployment, because that's how they got hired in the first place.
You know, I think the interesting thing about that is that in terms of federal jobs, that is merit-based, that people actually are able to keep their job.
Cat fight. I didn't know this was coming.
Or even to literally ascend based on being merit-based. You don't see that in the private sector. So I think it's really to say that black women working in these jobs is to check a box, it ignores the fact that that is a merit base.
Well, to a degree, because I do know for federal government, depending on what your history is, if you have worked in the military, if you're black, you do get extra points when it comes to hiring. And so being black in general will push people up when it comes to hiring. Being a black woman will push people up when it comes to hiring.
Yeah, can I pause?
Baby girl is cooking. I ain't even gonna front. Yo, she is cooking with fish grease. And so what she's basically telling them is that they didn't necessarily deserve these jobs. There were positions that were created for them, and then the jobs that were available, they were pushed above other people that more or less could have or probably should have gotten a job above them, but because they were using this as a diversity, equity, and inclusion and an opportunity in order to push them up, this is what you see as a result. Now we have a correction of the market, and now they're going to be the ones that are disproportionately the ones affected. It just is what it is.
I think we have to think about the impact. I mean, the fact that you have hundreds, thousands of black women who are out of jobs. Women from the age of 40-something, 50-something who are caregivers for their families. We've had reports. We have interviewed women who are struggling right now. So I hear what you're saying about the checking of the boxes, but I think we're losing sight of the human impact of this.
Actually, I agree with you on that. I actually feel that it's quite unfortunate that that has to happen, but we cannot continue to keep people in jobs to keep a payroll going. I think that's unfortunate.
But that's not, again, I have to disagree with you. I think a lot of the women who have been losing their jobs have played critical roles in government.
But if it
And that's where she messed up. Because if they played critical roles in government, they wouldn't be getting laid off. Let's be frank. If they played critical roles in federal government, they wouldn't be getting laid off this easily. So right there, this tells me that she's only one. Okay, I understand a lot of these women losing their jobs because they have nowhere else to go. Well, they're losing their jobs because the government wants to cut back on payments. I understand it, but here's the problem, and this is where this issue comes in. You simply cannot be angry because the federal government decided to go out here and try to cut back on how much it's costing the taxpayers to pay these people's salaries. It's affecting the country as a whole. If these women were so good at their jobs and were so crucial to their jobs, how were they getting laid off so easily? If these women were so good at their jobs, why can't they find a better job in the private sector that could pay them possibly a lot more than what the government is paying them? So honestly, to me, it just sounds like these women are piss poor pathetic, and they can't get a job in the private sector because they don't have the credentials or the talent or the damn drive to get these jobs. To be honest with you.
And it's
really
beyond
critical.
DEI.
If it was
It's
really
beyond
critical,
DEI.
they would still have their job. It wasn't that critical.
No, they don't have their
just-
jobs because now there's a policy in place that really has been racialized. It's not. We're looking at a space that how were they able to ascend? It wasn't.
Now we're talking about racialization of the damn problem. Ma'am, it's got nothing to do with race because white women are getting laid off too. They're just not crying about it.
wasn't about the checking the box. It was hard work. It was. We know that in a culture as in America, when have black women ever been given something just because we're checking a box?
With diversity, equity, and inclusion and affirmative action, literally. So look. They are speaking with their emotions. The lady in the middle is absolutely cooking, and the other two are speaking with their emotions because they are upset at the fact that black women have been affected, or they are now being impacted in the ways that men have been being impacted for a long time, in which we've just had to adjust to the marketplace. You cannot be given a position just because you are a black woman. That is what the lady is saying.
The women, we are the cornerstone of this economy all across it.
Well, I hear you, but I can also say that one of my first jobs was.
How are black women a cornerstone of the economy when black women make up less than 10% of the population? So how are we the cornerstone? How are y'all the cornerstone? Hold up. What is the percentage of black women in the U.S. Black women represent a growing demographic in the United States, making up about 6.1% of the total U.S. population. So if y'all are the cornerstone of the population, how the fuck y'all, if y'all supposedly the cornerstone of the population, then wouldn't y'all be more than 6% of the population? Again, they just saying shit just to make themselves feel better.
Was for the federal government, and I was very clear that I got pushed up ahead of people because I was black and I could check the box.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's a gender economist, Katika Roy, who calculated between February and July that 319,000 black women lost their jobs in the private and public sector. In that same period, job increases for white men was 365,000. There were 176,000 job gains for Hispanic women. There were 142,000 job gains for white women. And so when you suggest that these black women were in jobs to check a box, reconcile that with the increases for these other demographics and communities.
Well,
those jobs were earned and they deserved better jobs and deserved to have more jobs, while the hundreds of thousands of black women were just there to be pushed along.
I know a simp when I see one, but let's continue. I'm enjoying this.
Check a box.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying, because
Okay.
ultimately I think we all can agree that DEI has not just helped black women. So that's in the first place. DEI has helped minorities, women, white women. DEI has helped not just black women, but when it comes to the conversation of federal workers, with us being such a large percentage of federal workers.
It's deeply.
She's white. She's right. She's absolutely right. And that it's because the amount of jobs that black women were going for the federal government, USA Jobs, the Department of Government Efficiency found out that it wasn't a lot of work that was actually being done. And so the federal government haven't collapsed at all as a result of these women and the government being right-sized. And so that is why. It's because the jobs that they were going for were specifically these type of jobs. She is 100% correct.
Insulting to say that. It's deeply insulting that when you're looking at federal workers, we make what, 11.7%? That's just in parity of our population. And so that there you have 80%, of more of people that represent different segments of society. So to suggest that black women in some way, that our presence in the federal government has come from just somehow we are checking the box, really undermines the fact that we have been the cornerstone of the labor market in this country.
No, it doesn't.
Ass fucking backwards. Ass fucking backwards. It makes no sense. Moral of the story is this. Federal jobs are going away. And the only way to qualify for a private sector job is you have to have the skills. That's basically what it's boiling down to at this point. Because if you have the skills, you have the qualifications, you have all this different stuff in order to get a job in the private sector and get away from the federal sector, that's good on you. But it's what I'm starting to see is a lot of these government employees that are complaining about losing their jobs is because they went and relied on the government to always have that position open to them, not realizing that when it came down to the federal debt, they're adding to that. Because if you have more jobs in the federal sector than you do in the private sector, you're causing the debt ratio to go up for the country. Now, when you have more jobs in the private sector than the federal sector, because let's face it, the federal job, we don't need that many federal jobs. We don't. We don't need a shit ton of federal jobs. What are they doing all day? Sitting there painting nails or fucking counting fucking 3 every fucking hour. Like, they're not doing much really. So there's no need for a massive federal workforce. No. Tell them to go out there and work in the private sector. Because honestly, to be honest with you, you would probably make more in the private sector than you would in the federal sector. You probably would make more. But what they were counting on is for them to always have a job in the federal sector. You had people working in the federal sector for 30, 40 years, and now that it's coming to an end, now it's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Because this is the only job that I've had. That's a problem. But, hey, I feel bad, but competition. Competition breeds uniqueness. Sorry to say it, but it's the truth. But hell, anyways, like, share, subscribe, channel, support the podcast, Spotify.com. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you guys for listening. Bye, guys.